So, what exactly is ExamAssist? At a very high level, it is an online software solution that streamlines the commercial driver medical examination process. By having drivers fill out a more in-depth health history online, you benefit by having access to a more thorough health history, guidance at your fingertips, and assurance that all data is captured correctly and it is stored securely. So how does this all work? Well, it begins when a driver calls your clinic to make an appointment, and your clinic scheduler inputs some driver information into our system, which triggers an email to the driver with a secure link to start their online health history form. The scheduler does let the driver know that they will be asked to fill out a form online before their scheduled appointment. The driver then confirms the information that he or she gave over the phone is accurate and begins the online questionnaire. Once the questionnaire is complete, the driver attests that his answers are truthful, and depending on his positive responses, he may receive a list of items he needs to bring to the exam. The ultimate goal for this driver is that he comes to the clinic prepared and you are able to certify him on his first visit instead of turning him away because of lack of documentation. Here is an example of what the health history form looks like online. And as you can see, if they give a positive response, we ask them to give more detail. We also have questions that follow the federal form exactly. For example, do you have or ever had any of the following: dizziness, headaches, numbness, tingling, or memory loss? And as you well know, if they say yes on the paper form, you're not sure which condition it is. Here we ask them to dive in and tell us more specifically about the condition and to further explain. Once the driver has completed the health history form, they get to the attestation page where, as you can see, it is time stamped and they are asked to attest to the truthfulness of their answers. They can always go back and edit their answers, but if they agree that everything is correct, we ask them to give a wet signature and to submit the form. The driver then reaches this confirmation page where he can download and print the federal PDF form with his responses, comments, and information filled in. He will also be asked to bring any additional documentation necessary to his DOT exam. Like in this case, the driver said he has sleep apnea. He can download and print the sleep apnea form, have his physician fill it out before and bring it with him to the exam. From an examiner point of view, this tool helps to streamline the entire DOT exam process. You and your staff know what to expect of a driver before they ever walk in your door based on his or her responses of the online health history form. And what's really cool is you can quickly see the color-coded score of a driver, allowing your clinic manager to schedule more appropriate blocks of time per driver. During your exam, you and your medical assistants are given real-time alerts based on the exam findings, as well as given summaries of the appropriate guidance for a particular condition. You can then give your certification recommendation and print off any or all the PDFs that are required, knowing that everything is securely documented and stored for retrieval for a future date. So what does all this look like? Here is the driver records view in the ExamAssist interface. A list of names is on the left-hand side showing you everyone who is scheduled to be examined within your clinic, date of birth for verification purposes, and at a quick glance, the color-coded score of how drivers responded on the health history form. Let's dive in and examine one of these drivers. The first page that you come to when you're ready to examine a driver is the driver information page. Everything has been mapped from either the health history form or when the person in your clinic first created the account for the driver. When you're ready and everything is verified on this page, you move on to testing. This is the testing tab, and it very much mirrors the federal form. However, we have built in some really cool features that help and enhance this part of the exam. Before I dive into those, I'd like to share with you what is recorded or captured on this page. Height and weight, blood pressure, urinalysis, vision, hearing, and any other testing that you deem necessary during this part of the exam. Some nice features that we have included are things like guidance. So the italics are directly from the federal form, but then a synopsis of what the guidance is, as well as a link to the full guidance if you need to read about that further. Some other nice features include some automatic calculations. So we have integrated the BMI, which automatically calculates for you. Neck circumference is another data point that you can or cannot collect during the exam if that is something that you choose to do. We have put in alerts, such as if pulse rate is too high, the system alerts you to retake and or consider the fitness to drive. We have also built in guidance. So for example, with blood pressure, if the first reading is too high, then you get an alert to retake. If the second reading remains too high, then we pull in guidance from the federal government. It not only pops up here, but it populates in the certification summary. This is where you will start to log anything that limits the length of certification, and you can it follows you throughout the exam. So when you ultimately make your certification determination, you can look at that running list and know exactly where this driver stands. After you've completed the testing tab, it's time to move on to the health history tab. On the left-hand side, these are the different categories of the health history questionnaire. If the bar is red, then you know the driver gave a positive response within that category. On the right-hand side, these are different disorders or conditions that were triggered based on the positive response of the driver. So for example, this driver said that yes, he had a concussion in 2008. It was moderate and he got knocked out playing football. On the right-hand side, these are the different disorders or conditions that triggered based on that positive response. If you'd like to see what the guidance is around a particular condition, you just click on the title. It pops up the synopsis of the condition as well as the links, the direct links for further reading. If throughout the course of the exam you discover that yes, in fact, this person did have a traumatic brain injury, you select yes. This window pops up. Again, a synopsis of the guidance and the direct links for further reading is here for your review. And this area is for you to continue to log the running list of the different issues for the certification summary. So, for example, considering traumatic brain injury, how would you certify this driver? To be clear, these certification determinations are not the ultimate certification determination that you would give on the medical certificate or the report. This is just to help you with your running list in the certification summary. So for this demo, let's say that you reported that this driver really had a mild traumatic brain injury. You have these comments that you wanted to put in about the driver, and you save it. You can see that in the certification summary, the running list has been populated. And in this health history comments box, you can see that your comments are also populated here. That will ultimately map to the PDF and the report for the federal government later on. I'd like to point out a few other features that are a part of this health history page. If, for example, during the examination you discover that this driver has additional head neurological conditions that our system did not trigger, we have this additional head neurological findings option right here. You can select yes, and it will walk you through the exact same process that you went through for traumatic brain injury. You enter your length of certification for that condition, any and all comments, and you select save. There's also this nice feature that if in fact the driver has none of the conditions, you can quickly select no. Next, it's time to move on to the physical exam tab. The physical exam tab should look very familiar. It is a very straightforward tab. For example, you can very quickly select that all body systems are normal. If you discover that there is something that you'd like to make a comment about, you select abnormal. You can select your certification determination for that issue or that body system condition that you found, input your comments, and save. Those comments begin to catalog within the physical exam comments box, and again, that is ultimately mapped to the federal form, the federal PDF. Once you've completed the physical exam tab, it is time to move on to the certification tab. This is the certification tab, and for this demonstration purpose, we will say that we are certifying this driver for federal. And based on the certification summary, we see that this person should be certified for no longer than 3 months based on hypertension. So select meet standards, but periodic monitoring is required. Specify the reason and give the length of certification. As with this federal form, you have the periodic monitoring required choices that you can also select, and was the medical examination report amended. Once you've completed this tab, you submit the form and you move on to the confirmation page. This is the confirmation page where you can download and print the federal medical examination report as well as the certificate. Everything is mapped and populated based on the health history questionnaire as well as the exam findings. You can also access these reports at a later date, and it is tied to the driver's record. That completes the loop and the entire process for ExamAssist, and we will go ahead and end this presentation and begin taking questions and answers.